In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John chapter 1. Words are important, guys. Words are so incredibly important that we should be focusing on them so intensely. Scripture says in Proverbs 18:21, the tongue has power of life and death, and those who love it eat its fruit. You've been in a situation where you know that somebody's words brought you life, filled you up, made you feel good, made you feel like you could go out and do whatever it is that you needed to go do. And you've been in situations where somebody's words brought you death. You were riding high, you were sitting real good, you felt great about that day, and then all of a sudden, because some mean thing that somebody said brought you down. And guys, think about this. How many mean things does it take to ruin your day, and how many good things that people say does it take to cancel that one mean thing? It's literally almost 10 to 1. Trust me, you say you could have a great day, you're having a great day with your spouse, and all of a sudden, you say one nasty thing, boom, it can completely ruin those good days. Why? Because words have incredible power. So much so that you go to Genesis 1 and we go look at John chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and this is what it says. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And he says, and God said, his word, God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from darkness. He spoke it into existence. And there's so many things that we don't even realize in our lives that we speak into existence. I know that all of us know, we shouldn't say curse words, right? We shouldn't curse. But so many of us do because it's habitual and because the world says, they're just words. They don't really mean that much, right? I grew up in a household where everybody would just kind of laugh it off. Oh, that's just how ranchers talk. Oh, that's not really a cuss word. That's what this means to me. Well, words only mean what they mean. And something that just absolutely blows my mind is words have rules, right? If the words have rules and you're not following them, they're going to be ruling you. Here's what I mean. Everybody has certain rules that they tie to certain words. For instance, if I tie, for me, fight, the word fight. I tie fight to win, play dirty, do whatever it takes. So now, if I'm in a conversation with my wife and I start operating under the thought or telling her we're fighting, now we're both operating under what we think that word means. The rules that we have applied to that word. I guarantee you my wife also thinks play to win, play dirty, you know what I'm saying? Do whatever it takes to win. Sometimes fight is a good word. Sometimes you should fight for your life. Sometimes you should fight to save your marriage. Sometimes you should fight for a relationship. Do whatever it takes to keep that relationship. But is that always the best thing to say over your marriage? No. Sometimes it would be better if I said, honey, I want to have a debate with you. See, the word that I have in my brain about debate is I'm going to give her time to speak. I'm going to give her the time to voice what she needs to voice. I'm going to listen, and I'm going to listen to understand, not listen to respond, right? And vice versa. Completely different than just the word fight. One simple word change, and if you operated your marriage and said, we're no longer going to say the word fight, I guarantee you, and you truthfully operated that as a cuss word, I am no longer going to say this. I'm no longer going to operate under this. It will change your marriage. And there's so many other ways. Guys, James 3:5-6 says, likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest set on fire by a small spark. The tongue is also fire. You have the ability to have this small spark in your tongue grow beautiful things, grow awesome, amazing, abundance, life-giving things, and hateful, tear-down things in your marriage, right? In your life. Anything. Ephesians says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs. Guys, words are so incredibly important. I remember the first time that I realized I should quit cussing, right? I used to be the world's most habitual cusser. The F word was my word, okay? And I was sitting in church, and I remember sitting there afraid to speak. It was when I first started going to church. This is around 2020. And I was afraid to speak. And so then they took us to a next steps meeting, and they had everybody one by one stand up and tell us about who you are. And I was so afraid to stand up because I didn't know how to talk without cussing. And I stood up and I said, "Hi, I'm Ori, and I live here," and so on and so forth. And then I sat down and I looked at my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and I said, "Did I cuss?" And she said, "Only a little." Why was I afraid to cuss in church? I was afraid to cuss in church because I learned the verse, God does not live in a building built by human hands. And so I went, oh my gosh, if I'm afraid to cuss in church, I should be afraid to cuss everywhere. And I was trying so incredibly hard to eradicate that from my life because I knew what those words did in my life. They created anger, they created frustration, they created this heightened level of just, I don't know, agitation that didn't always need to be there. Not everything should just immediately jump you to this giant level of agitation. But so many of us are using words that have rules that jump you to the highest level of agitation, when really something might just be a small level of annoyance, but we use the angriest word we know to get there, right? And so I eradicated cussing from my life. Now, I'm not saying that I've never slipped up, that I've never slammed my hand in a car door and accidentally said a word, or every once in a blue moon accidentally say something. But you know what happens when my wife and I mess up? If I cuss, she stops me and says, "You need to apologize right now." If we are fighting, see, bam, just said it. It's a habitual word. You can't say fighting. So when right, you have to be cognizant of that. And one of the biggest important things is being able to see it and notice it in the moment. So when you're having these discussions and you go to cut, you curse, my spouse will always say, "No, we're done fighting. Until you can talk to me politely and correctly, we're not going to have a discussion," and vice versa, and it goes both ways, and you have to be humble enough to do it. What if we took that same intensity and put it on words that we should no longer use over ourselves? Small, simple words like fight, right? I don't know what they are for you guys, but everybody has certain words that we use habitually every day that heighten our level of aggression or anxiety or frustration. And it doesn't have to, right? You might be driving down the interstate and you could just be thinking, "Gosh, this just makes me so livid. This makes me so angry." When really, it's just a mild annoyance that somebody cut you off in traffic, and it's not going to change your day that much. So why do you speak these terrible words that you have certain rules over that make you go to those habitual patterns of anger and frustration? Guys, changing the words we say, not just the cuss words, can change the way we think. When we change the way we think, it changes the way we operate. What comes from the heart comes out of the mouth. You're angry in your heart, so that's why you're angry out of your mouth. We should be, if you want to have loving, life-giving people coming back to you, you need to be a loving, life-giving person going out, right? And so, guys, I pray that this blesses you, that you would sit today and that you would think about, what are the habitual words? What are my habitual emotions? Am I constantly angry? Am I constantly annoyed? Am I constantly frustrated? Why? It might not be. Actually, almost guarantee that it is not because everybody else around you is annoying. It is because you choose those words that you think in your head and speak into existence to be angry, frustrated, or annoyed. You can, by changing your habitual vocabulary, focus and change the way that you feel. What happens to us, we cannot help what happens to us, but we can help how we think about it and how we react to it. And so many of us are just reacting to the way some of you are watching this and you don't even know that words have rules, and so this is just going to be the most mind-blowing thing to you because it was to me, and it is changing my life, it is changing my marriage, it is changing every relationship I have in work, in friendship. I am hyper-focused on my words because I know that God literally used them to create the universe, that they have power, that words are, the tongue has power of life and death, as Proverbs say, and it can be a spark like a fire. I am going to be hyper-focused on my words. I pray that you will too. I hope that it blesses you. I hope that it blesses your marriage, that you speak life into your marriage, and that you would have a tongue that sparks a fire of goodness and peace and love and joy. Guys, the first three fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, and peace. What if we spread a fire of love, joy, and peace through our marriages? Love, joy, and peace through our workspace. Love, joy, and peace through our friendships, instead of anger, frustration, and hate. What words do you have that are in your head? This is what I'm going to leave you guys with. I want you to write down what words you have in your head that you continually say and do. And if you don't know what they are right now, think about this through the day and catch it. And when you catch it, write it down and say, oh, wow, I definitely use the word frustrated every day, or anxiety every day, or depressed every single day. I'm depressed. When you say that, you are owning that over yourself, and it has the power to make you operate under that word. Now, find a replacement. What if you replaced those words that had anxiety, fear, anger, and those rules, and you replaced them with love, joy, peace, and the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Those are good, beautiful things. Find the words that help you operate under the fruits of the Spirit and not under the fruit that the devil wants you to be under. So, I love you guys. I hope this blesses you. I hope you take it. I hope you use it. It changed my life. I pray that it changes yours. And we will see you guys on the next one.